When my daughter told me she was selling the company I built with my own hands, I collapsed into my office chair, staring at the signed contracts that made it official. 2 weeks later, I was signing papers to secretly buy her new business out from under her. That's when I realized family trees sometimes grow the sharpest thorns. If you're watching this, hit subscribe and tell me where you're from. Because trust me, this story twists harder than a tornado in Texas. My name is Robert Mitchell. For 35 years, I poured everything I had into Mitchell Manufacturing. Blood, sweat, countless missed dinners, and the kind of exhaustion that seeps into your bones. But I did it all for one reason, to build something meaningful for my daughter, Laura. Daddy, when I grow up, I want to make things just like you, she'd say, her little fingers tracing the blueprints spread across my desk. I still remember her first day at the office, 23 years old, fresh out of business school, eyes bright with that Mitchell determination. You'll run this place someday, I told her. She hugged me so tight. What a fool I was. The morning everything fell apart started like any other. Coffee in my favorite mug, the one Laura gave me for Father's Day 15 years ago. World's best dad in faded letters. I was reviewing quarterly projections when my assistant knocked. Mr. Mitchell? There's someone here to see you. Says he's from Harrington Legal. The man who walked in wore an expensive suit and carried a leather portfolio that probably cost more than my first car. Mr. Mitchell, I'm Richard Harrington. I've been asked to deliver these documents. I've always prided myself on reading people. In business, it saved me millions. But nothing prepared me for what was inside that folder. This is notification that controlling interest in Mitchell Manufacturing has been transferred to Pinnacle Enterprises, effective immediately. Pinnacle Enterprises. The company my son-in-law Jason started last year. The company where Laura had recently taken a position as consultant. There must be some mistake, I said, flipping through pages of legalese. My daughter wouldn't. Ms. Mitchell Collins signed the final transfer documents yesterday afternoon, Harrington said, his voice flat. She asked me to inform you that you'll be welcome to maintain your current office, though operational decisions will now require board approval. My throat closed up. The room seemed to tilt sideways. Board approval? I founded this company. I built it from nothing. Yes, well. He checked his watch. The board meeting is scheduled for tomorrow at 9. Ms. Mitchell Collins suggested you might want to prepare a statement regarding your transition. Script part separator ===. After Harrington left, I sat motionless, staring at the family photo on my desk. Lara's wedding day. She looked so beautiful, and I remembered how proud I felt walking her down the aisle. Jason stood beside her, smiling that smile that never quite reached his eyes. I called Laura immediately. When she didn't answer, I drove straight to their house, the house I helped them buy with a generous gift that was really an advance on her inheritance. Their housekeeper answered. Mr. Mitchell. Ms. Laura isn't home. She and Mr. Jason left for the airport this morning. Airport? Where are they going? Bahamas, sir. Something about celebrating a business deal. The betrayal burned like acid in my chest. Celebrating. While my life's work was stolen from under me. Back at the office, I found Margaret, my CFO of 20 years, waiting. Her face told me she knew. Robert, I tried to warn you months ago about those private meetings Laura was having. You think I should have seen this coming? My voice cracked. Jason's been planning this for over a year. He's been courting your investors, promising higher returns. And Laura. Margaret hesitated. Tell me. She's been copying financial records, client lists. Last month she told the executive team you were considering retirement. I slammed my fist on the desk. I'm 62, not dead. There's more, Margaret said. They've been moving assets, preparing to strip the company and merge the valuable parts with Pinnacle. My phone buzzed with a text from Laura. Dad, it's just business. You taught me to seize opportunities. We'll talk when I'm back. Just business. My little girl, who once sat on my lap while I explained profit margins, had reduced our relationship to a transaction. That night, I couldn't sleep. Dawn found me at my kitchen table with coffee gone cold and a legal pad filled with notes. They thought they'd won. They thought I'd just roll over. They had no idea who they were dealing with. Script part separator equals. The board meeting was a nightmare. 12 people around a polished mahogany table, 6 of them strangers Jason had brought in. Laura sat at the head, where I'd sat for 35 years. She wore a black power suit and a stranger's face. "Dad," she said coolly, "I hope you've prepared that statement." I looked at my daughter, trying to find some trace of the little girl who'd once fallen asleep on my shoulder during late nights at the office. Nothing remained. "I have a few words," I said, standing. My voice remained steady even as my hands trembled. 35 years ago, I started this company with a loan and a promise. I promised to build something that would last, something honest. Jason smirked. "Times change, Robert. Companies evolve." "Indeed they do," I replied. "And so do people." I've watched my daughter evolve from someone with principles into, whatever this is. Lara's expression flickered. "Dad, don't make this personal." "Not personal." I laughed, the sound harsh even to my own ears. "You're my flesh and blood. You're sitting in my chair. How is this not personal?" "It's business," she insisted. "You taught me to recognize opportunity." "I taught you loyalty," I corrected. "I taught you that your word means something." I walked to the door, then turned. "One last thing. When you were 16, you wrecked your first car. Remember what I told you?" For just a moment, Laura looked uncertain. "You said, mistakes are expensive teachers." "That's right. This lesson's going to cost you dearly." As I closed the door behind me, I heard Jason's dismissive laugh. "What's the old man going to do? He's finished." They thought they knew me. They thought they knew everything. That night, I called the one person who might understand, my ex-wife, Claire. Despite our divorce 15 years ago, we'd maintained a civil relationship. "Claire, our daughter has betrayed me in ways I never thought possible." Her sigh carried years of complicated emotions. "Robert, you always put the company first." "Always." Maybe this is her way of finally getting your attention. Script part separator equals. "By getting my attention, you mean taking my life's work?" I asked, pacing my empty house. Claire's voice softened. "I'm not defending her. What she did was wrong. But Robert, you built that company when she was a child. Those late nights, missed recitals, birthdays where you showed up just as the cake was being cleared." I stopped pacing. "So this is my fault?" "No. But nothing happens in a vacuum. Have you asked yourself why she'd do this?" I hung up feeling worse. Was Claire right? Had I created this monster through neglect? The thought haunted me as I poured a scotch and stared at the wall of awards and photos, evidence of my success, my identity. The next morning, I called David Chen, my attorney for 20 years. "They can't just take your company, Robert. We'll fight this." "I don't want to just fight, David. I want to win." For the next 3 days, David and his team reviewed every transaction, every signature. When he called me back, his voice held a note I'd never heard before, excitement. "Robert, they made mistakes. Big ones. Laura forged your signature on at least 3 documents. And Jason, he's been embezzling from Mitchell for months to fund Pinnacle. Can we get the company back?" "Maybe. But I have a better idea. Jason's running Pinnacle into the ground. They're overextended, hemorrhaging cash. If you wanted to, you could buy them out within 6 months." A strange calm settled over me. Not revenge, justice. I started making calls. Old contacts, business rivals who owed me favors. Within days, I had a war chest and a strategy. Meanwhile, Laura and Jason were busy gutting Mitchell Manufacturing. Loyal employees were fired, replaced with Jason's cronies. Quality control plummeted. Clients began calling me directly, confused about changes. Then came my first stroke of luck. Jason had scheduled a major industry presentation to announce Pinnacle's innovative new direction. I made sure to get a front row seat. Script part separator equals. Jason strode onto the stage like he owned the world. Behind him, a massive screen displayed Pinnacle's new logo, my logo, slightly redesigned. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, "today marks the beginning of a new era." I watched as he unveiled his revolutionary manufacturing process, the very same one I'd been developing in secret for 2 years. The same one documented in files that had mysteriously disappeared from my home office 3 months ago. When the presentation ended, reporters swarmed him. One noticed me in the crowd. "Mr. Mitchell, what do you think of your son-in-law's innovations?" I smiled calmly. I'm impressed he managed to recreate my work so quickly, especially since those exact designs were stolen from my home safe recently. The reporter's eyes widened. "Are you accusing Pinnacle of theft?" "I'm simply stating facts. I've already filed the patents. Check the dates." Jason's face contorted with rage as cameras swiveled toward him. Later that night, my phone exploded with calls from Laura. "What the hell, Dad? You're trying to sabotage us?" "I'm protecting what's mine," I replied. "Something you should understand. You're just bitter because you can't accept that your time is over." Her words cut deep, but I wouldn't let her hear it. My time may be over at Mitchell, but I'm far from finished. The next morning, headlines blared. Pinnacle accused of stealing designs and family feud erupts in tech industry. Pinnacle's stock dropped 12%. It was just the beginning. I met with Margaret for coffee. She'd resigned from Mitchell rather than work under Jason's leadership. "They're running scared," she said. "Jason's alienating suppliers with his arrogance, and 3 major clients have already jumped ship." "Perfect timing for what I'm planning," I replied, sliding a folder across the table. Her eyes widened as she read. "Robert, this is ambitious. It's necessary. Script part separator, ===. Margaret tapped the folder. "This plan of yours, it could destroy them completely." "Not them. Just what they've stolen." Over the next 2 weeks, I worked 18-hour days implementing my strategy. Using shell companies and trusted intermediaries, I began quietly purchasing Pinnacle stock as its price continued to fall. Meanwhile, David's team gathered evidence of Jason's embezzlement and Lara's forgeries. The breaking point came faster than expected. A major client canceled a $10 million contract after receiving defective products from Mitchell under its new management. Pinnacle's stock plummeted another 20%. That's when I got the call I'd been waiting for. "Dad, we need to talk." Lara's voice sounded strained, desperate. "Can you meet us?" I suggested a restaurant, public, neutral ground. When I arrived, they were already seated. Jason looked haggard, his designer suit wrinkled. Lara's eyes were red-rimmed. "Thank you for coming," she said stiffly. "Family is always there in times of need," I replied, my voice dripping with irony. Jason leaned forward. "Look, Robert, we may have had our differences." "Diferenças?" Interrupted. "Is that what you call theft and fraud?" "We didn't steal anything," Lara snapped. "We made strategic business decisions." I smiled thinly. "So did I. That's why I'm here." Pinnacle needs a capital infusion. Urgently. Jason's expression darkened. "We're exploring options." "I'm your option," I said, placing a document on the table. "I'll provide the capital you need, in exchange for 51% ownership." "That's insane." Jason exploded. "We'd never." "You don't have a choice," I cut in. "Your loan payments are due next week. Your inventory is worthless. And those clients you stole from Mitchell? They're not returning your calls anymore." Lara stared at me, realization davni. "You've been watching us this whole time. Learning from you, actually. It's just business, right? Script part separator, ===. Lara's face flushed with anger. "This is different. You're doing this out of spite. And what was your motivation?" I asked quietly. "Was it money, power, or just the thrill of taking something from me?" Jason grabbed the document, scanning it frantically. "These terms are predatory. Unlike forging signatures and stealing proprietary designs." I raised an eyebrow. "You have 48 hours to decide. After that, I go to the police with everything my investigators have found." I stood to leave, but Lara caught my arm. For a moment, her eyes held something. Regret? Fear? Daddy, please. We can work something out. We are working something out. It's right there in black and white. Azival Kalway, e hard Jason Ising et Lara. Call your mother. She must have some leverage over him. I smiled to myself. Claire already knew everything. The next day, I received an unexpected visitor at my rented office. Thomas Reynolds, Mitchell Manufacturing's largest client for 20 years. Hell of a mess you've got, Bob, he said, settling his considerable bulk into a chair. No fini quente andle. Thomas nodded thoughtfully. Word is, quality's gone to shit since the new management took over. 3 defective shipments in a month. I'm sorry to hear that. Don't you be sorry. Be ready. He leaned forward. I'm pulling my contracts with Mitchell next week. Worth about $30 million annually. My bolsi Kenneth. And I'll be looking for a new supplier. He winked. Someone experienced. Someone e traste. After Thomas left, I called David. We need to accelerate the timeline. How fast can we move? If they accept your offer, we could have control by Monday. And if they don't, then Tuesday morning, we file criminal charges against both of them. Script part separator equals. The ultimatum hung in the air for exactly 27 hours before my phone rang. It was Jason, his voice stripped of its usual arrogance. We'll sign. But I want to negotiate some details. The only detail you need to know is the address of my lawyer's office. 900 moro. E gap feeling hollow. Victor should taste sveter than this. The signing was a tense affair. Laura wouldn't look at me as she scrawled her name on document after document. Jason alternated between sullen silence and desperate attempts to salvage his dignity. Just so we're clear, he said as the last paper was signed, I'm still CEO of Pinnacle. That wasn't part of the deal. I smiled, the kind of smile that had made competitors nervous for decades. For now. As we left David's office, Laura finally spoke. Was it worth it, Dad? Destroying our relationship over a company. You destroyed our relationship when you chose money over loyalty. I'm just picking up the pieces. Her eyes filled with tears. I thought you'd be proud. Taking initiative, being aggressive, everything you taught me about business. For a moment, he faltered. Had I created this situation? Was Claire right? I taught you to build, not steal, I said more gently. There's a difference. 2 weeks passed. I received daily reports on Pinnacle's operations, watching as Jason scrambled to keep the company afloat despite mounting debts. My informants inside Mitchell told me morale was collapsing there too. Then came the phone call that changed everything again. Mr. Mitchell, this is Detective Sawyer with the Financial Crimes Unit. We're investigating some irregularities at Pinnacle Enterprises. I understand you're now the majority shareholder? Yes, that's correct. Sir, I need to inform you that we've uncovered evidence of significant tax fraud dating back 18 months. Would you be available to answer some questions? Script part separator equals. I'll be there in an hour, I told the detective, my mind racing. Tax fraud. This was something I hadn't anticipated. When I arrived at the police station, Detective Sawyer led me to a small interview room. Mr. Mitchell, we have evidence that Pinnacle has been operating shell companies to hide income. Nearly $3 million is unaccounted for. I felt dizzy. This was beyond what even I had suspected. As majority shareholder, you could be liable, he continued, though our investigation indicates these activities predated your involvement. When I left the station, I called an emergency board meeting at Pinnacle. Jason swaggered in 15 minutes late. What is so urgent, Robert? Some minor crisis you can't handle? The board members shifted uncomfortably as I laid out the detective's findings. $3 million, Jason. Where is it? His face drained of color. Those are accounting errors. Nothing more. The head of our accounting department, a woman I'd personally hired, pushed a folder toward him. These aren't errors, Mr. Collins. These are deliberate misrepresentations. And they carry serious penalties. Jason's eyes darted around the room like a cornered animal. This is a setup. Robert's trying to frame me. I remained calm. We have two choices. We cooperate fully with authorities and attempt to salvage this company, or we can let this play out publicly. Laura burst into the room, her face flushed. I just got a call from Detective Sawyer. What the hell is going on? Ask your husband, I said quietly. She turned to Jason, who was now sweating profusely. Jason, it was just temporary. A cash flow solution. I was going to put it back. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Not only had Jason stolen my company, but he'd been embezzling from it too. Mr. Collins, said the board chairman gravely, I believe we need to discuss your position with this company. Jason lunged across the table toward me. Eu set me up. Eu vindictive ou de bastard. == script part separator == Two security guards restrained Jason as he continued to shout accusations. The board members exchanged alarmed glances. This meeting is adjourned, the chairman announced. Mr. Collins, please clear your office by the end of the day. Your employment is terminated, effective immediately. Jason's face contorted with rage. You can't do this. I built this company. No, I said quietly. You stole this company. There's a difference. As Jason was escorted out, Laura remained frozen in her chair, staring at nothing. When we were alone, she finally looked at me. Did you know? She whispered. About the money. No. That was all him. She covered her face with her hands. I've lost everything. My husband is a criminal. My reputation is ruined. I felt a twinge of the old paternal instinct to protect her, but pushed it away. Actions have consequences, Laura. That's another lesson I thought I taught you. The next morning, the business pages exploded with headlines. Tech exec facing fraud charges and father reclaims company from scheming daughter and son-in-law. David called, elated. Robert, this couldn't have worked out better if we'd planned it. Jason's going down, and public opinion is entirely on your side. What about Mitchell Manufacturing? I asked. With Jason's criminal charges and the evidence of forgery, we have grounds to challenge the transfer. I've already filed the motion. Within days, Jason was arrested. The media camped outside their house, hungry for scandal. Laura stopped answering my calls. Claire contacted me, her voice tight with concern. Have you seen Lara? She's not returning my calls either. She made her choices, I said, but felt a chill of worry. That evening, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Laura standing there, looking broken. Her designer clothes were rumpled, her eyes hollow. Can I come in? She asked, her voice barely audible. == script part separator == I stepped aside silently, allowing her to enter the home where she'd grown up. She walked straight to the living room and sank onto the couch. They froze our accounts, she said hollowly. The FBI took our computers. The neighbors won't even look at me. I poured 2 glasses of scotch, handed her one. What did you expect would happen? Not this. Her hand trembled as she took the glass. Jason told me everything was legal. That we were just being aggressive, like you always were. Don't blame me for your choices. Her eyes flashed with sudden anger. Why not? You taught me that winning was everything. Demiti away, right? Crush the competition. Take no prisoners. I taught you to win with integrity, I corrected. Something you conveniently forgot. Lara laughed bitterly. Integrity. You bribed city officials to get permits for the South Side factory. You threatened to destroy suppliers who wouldn't meet your terms. Hard words hit like physical blows. Was this how she saw me? A só me ruthless tiran? I was harsh sometimes, I admitted. But I never stole. I never betrayed family. Family? She scoffed. The company was always your real family. Mom knew it. I knew it. That's not fair, isn't it? When was the last time you asked about my life? My dreams. You only noticed me when I was useful to Mitchell Manufacturing. I wanted to deny it, but memories flashed through my mind. Cancelled vacations for business emergencies, conversations that always circled back to the company, the way I'd light up when she showed interest in the business but tune out when she talked about anything else. Is that why you did it? I asked quietly. To hurt me? Lara's expression crumpled. I did it because for once in my life, I wanted you to see me. Really see me. Script part separator, We sat in silence, de trufiangem e ave us. I see you now, I finally said. I see someone who made terrible choices. She flinched. The police want me to testify against Jason. They're offering immunity. And will you? Her eyes met mine, hollow with defeat. What choice do I have? 3 days later, I sat in the back of a courtroom while Lara took the stand. She looked small against the dark wood paneling as she recounted how Jason had orchestrated everything. The forgeries, the embezzlement, the tax fraud. How he'd manipulated her with promises and threats. Jason glared at her from the defendant's table, his handsome face twisted with hatred. When it was over, reporters swarmed the courthouse steps. I pushed through them to reach Lara, who stood alone, shoulders hunched against the barrage of questions. Come with me, I said, taking her elbow. She allowed me to guide her to my car. We drove in silence until reaching a small diner on the outskirts of town. I used to bring you here after dance recitals, I said as we slid into a booth. Chocolate milkshakes, she murmured. Extra whipped cream. I ordered 2, watching her face as memories softened her expression briefly before reality crashed back. What happens now? She asked. Now. Mitchell Manufacturing returns to its rightful owner. Pinnacle gets reorganized under new leadership. And me? Where do I fit? I studied my daughter, this stranger I'd raised. The betrayal still burned, but something else flickered beneath the anger. Regret, perhaps. Or just exhaustion. That depends, I said carefully, on whether you've learned anything from this. Her eyes filled with tears. I've lost my husband, my reputation, my friends. What more do you want? I want to understand why. Really why? Lara stared at her untouched milkshake. Because I was tired of being Robert Mitchell's daughter instead of Lara. Because Jason made me feel powerful when you made me feel small. Because, her voice broke, because I thought if I took what mattered most to you, you'd finally see what mattered most to me. Script part separator, Lara's words hung in the air between us. Truth has a way of silencing even the most justified anger. What mattered most to you, Lara? I finally asked. She wiped her eyes. Being enough. Just me. Not as your successor or the future of Mitchell Manufacturing. Just your daughter. The weight of my failings pressed down on me. Had I been so blind? You were always enough, I said quietly. I just didn't know how to show it. Our milkshakes melted, untouched, as decades of misunderstandings unraveled between us. Not forgiveness, we weren't there yet, but perhaps understanding. 2 weeks later, I stood before the newly reinstated board of Mitchell Manufacturing. The company was mine again, but at what cost? I have an announcement, I told them. Effective immediately, I'm stepping down as CEO. Gasps echoed around the table. But I'm not retiring, I continued. I'm creating a new position, Director of Innovation. The day-to-day operations will be handled by someone else. That afternoon, I called Lara. The criminal investigation had cleared her of direct involvement in Jason's fraud, though her reputation remained in tatters. I have a proposition for you, I said. Not CEO, you haven't earned that back. But there's a position in product development. You'd report to Margaret, not me. Why would you offer me anything? After what I did? Because you're right. I never saw you clearly. And because everyone deserves a second chance, even daughter who betrays her father. 6 months later, I watched from my office as Lara presented her first independent project to the executive team. Her hands shook slightly, but her voice remained steady. Margaret caught my eye across the conference room and gave me a subtle nod. Lara was earning respect on her own merits. Later that day, I found a small package on my desk, a new coffee mug. I unwrapped it carefully. It read, "World's most complicated dad." I had to smile. It wasn't forgiveness exactly, but it was a start. Jason's trial concluded with a 15-year sentence for fraud, embezzlement, and tax evasion. I didn't attend the sentencing. Some chapters are better closed quietly. As for Pinnacle Enterprises, I dissolved it completely. The valuable patents returned to Mitchell Manufacturing where they belonged. The rest, the empire built on lies, I let crumble to dust. 1 year to the day after Harrington walked into my office with those devastating documents, Laura and I sat together at our annual company picnic. Employees who'd weathered the storm laughed and played volleyball on the sunny field. "Do you ever regret it?" I asked her. "What you did?" She watched a group of children running through sprinklers. "I regret hurting you. I regret trusting Jason. But I don't regret that it forced us to finally talk to each other." I nodded slowly. "Fair enough. What about you?" she asked. "Do you regret what you did to get the company back?" "No," I said honestly. "But I regret what it took to make me see what really matters." We sat in comfortable silence, watching the summer day unfold around us. Not healed completely, some wounds leave permanent scars, but moving forward. Later that evening, as I locked my office, I paused at the family photo still on my desk. I'd replaced it recently. Not the wedding picture, but an older one, Laura at about 8, sitting on my lap at my old desk, both of us laughing at some forgotten joke. I ran my finger over the frame, remembering the feel of her small hand in mine as we walked through the factory floor all those years ago. Some legacies aren't built of brick and steel. Some are built in moments of forgiveness, in difficult truths, in second chances cautiously given and gratefully received. That, I finally understood, was what truly mattered. The company flourishes now, stronger for having been broken and rebuilt. Sometimes Laura and I still clash, old habits die hard. But we're learning, day by day, to build something more valuable than any manufacturing empire: trust. When people ask if it was worth it, the betrayal, the fight, the painful reconciliation, I tell them this: in business, you measure success in dollars. In family, you measure it in second chances. And I, Robert Mitchell, am finally a wealthy man in all the ways that truly count.